Master your money, free your future. Welcome to Budget for Life. My name is Jeremy. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm a financial advisor, but this video is not financial advice. In this video, I am going to tell you the 11 reasons that digital PowerPacks is not included in GameStop's operating revenue. Or you could say, I'm going to show you the 11 questions you would have to answer if you think that digital PowerPacks is included in GameStop's operating revenue. Personally, I cannot find a single piece of evidence that would indicate that conclusion. So let's dive into it, because a lot of people think that, oh, look at the net sales number, it's relatively low. Oh, but look, collectibles did grow by 30 million quarter over quarter. So obviously, as like one guy said in this video, by the way, thank you to those who have joined the channel as fans and friends. All the earnings go to DRS Book Jamie shares. Thank you to those who have subscribed. If you want to be a part of the Pokey Sub Club, we'd love for you to be part of it. Some people are convinced, oh, because the revenue's low. Look, PSA is the house, GameStop is the host, right? Digital Power Packs must primarily be PSA's business. And because the revenue is what GameStop's revenue is, therefore, GameStop must be receiving some type of high margin, low revenue commission from PSA for the service of selling digital power packs, right? Some type of just transaction fee rather than the whole pie. This is how I used to think about it. And I think a lot of people are stuck here because of the revenue number. And when they hear me say that actually digital power packs is not included at all in this revenue number, that it is off balance sheet, that it's being treated as equity accounting rather than an operational subsidiary, the only math people want to talk about is the revenue math. And they're like, well, look, here's how reasonably digital power packs could actually be, $2, $3, $4 million in GameStop's operating revenue. But I'm going to show you 11 other reasons why this doesn't make sense. And again, this is coming from someone who modeled exactly what I just talked about. I literally modeled 2 months ago. I projected a $3 million revenue and a $3 million operating income, right? Basically no SG&A, no cost of sales, just a pure transaction fee, pure profit revenue that PSA primarily owns. Digital power packs, the GameStop's just receiving a transaction fee. I used to think that. Okay, but if you think that, here are 11 questions you would have to answer. First of all, why does GameStop have other income? Where is this other income coming from? GameStop reported in Q3 non-operating income of $3 million. Non-operating income, by definition, is not included within GameStop's operating revenue, operating cost of sales, operating gross margins, right? So if Digital Power Packs is GameStop's operating subsidiary, that would mean that the revenue is included, right? But then you would have to have some other reason why GameStop has other income in their Q3, right? Where is that other income coming from? If Digital Power Packs is not reported on GameStop's operating numbers, right? If Digital Power Packs is treated as an equity investment, then GameStop's portion of the income from Digital Power Packs would have to go in other income. So here's one piece of evidence that would point to Digital Power Packs is an equity investment of GameStop's. It's not an operating subsidiary of GameStop's. If you think that it's an operating subsidiary, then you need a different catalyst for why there is other income all of a sudden on GameStop's financials. There's point number one. Here's point number two. Non-current assets. After years of declines, grew. right? Bottomed out at 50.5. And since PowerPacks LLC has been created and Digital PowerPacks has launched, non-current assets has grown. If Digital PowerPacks is an equity investment of GameStop, right? PowerPacks LLC is a company. That company has its own financial statements that are not included on GameStop's financials, but GameStop has an ownership stake in that company. Then the asset value of GameStop's PowerPacks LLC position would go in other non-current assets, right? This is exactly what you would expect to happen. So again, if you think that PowerPacks LLC is GameStop's operating subsidiary, or that GameStop is receiving revenue in their operating revenue from PowerPacks LLC, then what is why is non-current assets growing? So you need a different reason. So the evidence here would suggest that PowerPacks LLC is the reason, and that therefore PowerPacks LLC is not included in GameStop's operating numbers, but actually is being featured in their non-operating numbers, meaning that their revenue is not included in GameStop's reported revenue. Here's reason number 3. Non-store SG&A in the US is growing after years of declines. Let's see if I can show that to you real quick. Other, right? Here's store-related SG&A. Here is non-store related SG&A. There's last quarter actually, or last year. Here you go. So if I showed you the previous quarter, you would actually see it. So this is May 2024. Well, I should have worked on this presentation. Okay, yeah. So years of declines in non-store related SG&A. And now non-store related SG&A is actually ticking back up. Maybe if I showed this most recent 10Q, that would illustrate it for you where it bottoms out. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. 51.1. Oh, that's for the 6 months ended. That's why it's so confusing. There's the 3 months ended. There you go. 3 months ended August 2025. 3 months ended November 2025. Sorry, that one took a while. Non-store SG&A went from 22.4 to 25 after years of declining, right? It used to be 25.9 a year ago. But it went down, right, all the way to 22.4, and now it's climbing back up. So after years of declines, non-store SG&A is now growing. Now, what's the catalyst for this? If you think that PowerPacks is included in GameStop's operating numbers. If PowerPacks is an equity investment of GameStop's, then that would mean that non-store SG&A would grow when GameStop contributes cards to PowerPacks. The value of the cards that GameStop contributes to PowerPacks would increase GameStop's non-store SG&A. So again, another piece of evidence that would say that PowerPacks is not GameStop's subsidiary, but that GameStop is recording PowerPacks according to equity accounting. There's number 3. So other income, better explained by equity accounting. And if you think equity accounting is not the answer, then why is other income growing? Non-current assets, best explained by equity accounting. If you think that digital PowerPacks is not equity accounting and it's already including GameStop's operations, then why is non-current assets growing? Non-store SG&A growing, like you would expect under equity accounting. If you think that PowerPacks is not equity accounting, that the numbers from PowerPacks are already included in GameStop's numbers, then what is the catalyst for non-store SG&A growing? Okay, there's number 3. Here's number 4. The cash flow, right? The cash flow from investing activities includes an investment in the collaboration agreement. So if PowerPacks is a part of GameStop's operations, why would they not report PowerPacks numbers within their operating activities, such as change in inventory, right? Why would PowerPacks LLC go into the investment portion of the cash flow statement? If PowerPacks LLC is an equity investment of GameStop, this is exactly what you would expect. And the reason is because the operating numbers are not included in GameStop's operating numbers, right? If you think that PowerPacks is included in GameStop's operations, why is this cash flow in investing activities rather than the uses of that cash aggregated within GameStop's operating activities, right? Or at the very least, why wouldn't you call it CapEx, right? Here's CapEx right here. Why would you split it out separately? But if PowerPacks inventory is included in GameStop's inventory, and this funding, part of it is to purchase inventory for digital PowerPacks, why wouldn't that be included in inventories, right? Or receivables, or right? All the above. So that's number 4. Number 5 is the amount, right? 17.5 million is the amount of dollars that GameStop invested into PowerPacks LLC, into their collaboration with PSA. If GameStop is just receiving a transaction fee, and that transaction fee is something like $3 million, why would they be investing $17.5 million? Right? So why are they investing? That's number 4, rather than why isn't it operating? Number 5 is, why is it 17.5 million? If quote unquote PSA is the house and GameStop's just the host. Well, if PSA is the house and GameStop's just the host, then why would GameStop be sending $17.5 million as an investment into the house? Under equity accounting, you would expect that, hey, GameStop has an ownership stake, right? GameStop is the house and PSA is the house, right? Because neither of them are the house, because PowerPacks LLC is the house, right? PowerPacks LLC with its own financials that are currently not being disclosed, right? But again, another piece of evidence that a logical conclusion would say digital PowerPacks is a part of PowerPacks LLC. PowerPacks LLC is a company that is separate from GameStop's company that GameStop has an ownership stake in. Here's number 6. At the end of each quarter, so far, the past 2 quarters, GameStop has dumped inventory from their graded card marketplace inventory and onto somewhere, right? But almost definitely not sold. Where is that little chart that I always talked about? There it is right there. At the end of Q2 and at the end of Q3, GameStop took tons of cards
I was a part of.
out of their availability off of their website and moved them somewhere. Sorry for the meception going on right now. They moved them somewhere. Why would GameStop do that if digital PowerPacks inventory is already a part of their inventory? Right? This is what you would expect to happen if what I'm saying is not that it's why would it happen in one fell swoop right before the end of the quarter? If GameStop has their inventory that's accounted for separately, and if PowerPack's inventory is not included in GameStop's inventory, which is the way it would happen under equity accounting, if PowerPacks LLC is primarily an investment, a separate company that GameStop has ownership in, then GameStop would be able to take cards from them and contribute them to PowerPacks LLC, and they would do that at the end of the quarters to recognize that contribution, right? That would be the catalyst as to why non-store SG&A is rising, because they would receive the inventory credit or debit would then be whatever. You would lower inventory by this amount that they contribute or that they moved out, and then you would increase non-SG&A by that amount. So if GameStop had a high equity interest in this company and they wanted it to ramp as much as possible, it would make sense for them to be funneling cards to PowerPacks LLC. And it would make sense for them to do it at the end of quarters to keep their operating inventory level, right? To stabilize their own assets. If you think that PowerPacks is GameStop's operating subsidiary, then why would they do this right at the end of the quarter? If all the inventory is already included within GameStop's inventory. And secondly, why would they do this period? If they're just the host, if they're just getting a fee for the transactions, then why would they take all these cards that they would get all the revenue for? Right? They could sell these over time from their marketplace, do promos, put them on sale sometimes, buy 3, get 2 free. I mean, they could sell these and recognize much higher revenue and margins selling them themselves rather than sending them over to digital PowerPacks. It doesn't make sense for GameStop to do this unless they do have an equity investment in digital PowerPacks. And it doesn't make sense for them to do this in such substantial quantity right before quarter end unless there's a meaningful accounting difference between GameStop's inventory and PowerPack's inventory. That's reason number 6. Here's reason number 7. The materiality statement. GameStop reported that the transactions with collectors were not material during the fiscal year. This is a statement that they have never made in their entire company history about any source of operations, including operations that only did 1 million annually, right? Tiny strategy guides, right? Game informers, specific figurines, mobile phones. They have had tiny businesses. They have never made a statement saying that they are not material. But if GameStop's PowerPacks is an equity investment, then that would mean that under equity accounting, digital PowerPacks is not included in GameStop's operating numbers. And as a result, unless GameStop tells us in the footnotes, unless they tell us, by the way, here's PowerPacks LLC's revenue and balance sheet, income statement and balance sheet, they either have to disclose PowerPacks numbers somewhere, right? Not aggregated within their own numbers, but they have to tell us what PowerPacks numbers are somewhere, or they have to make a statement about immateriality. And secondly, if PowerPacks is already reported within these numbers, right? Not split out separately, but it's in there, GameStop does not have to ever make a statement about materiality. And also, the standard for when materiality is reached is totally arbitrary. There is no clear line as to what makes a specific portion of your business material or not. So they never have to make that statement. There's no clear line when that statement would even change. And they've never made that statement historically about far smaller businesses than Digital PowerPacks. On the contrary, if Digital PowerPacks is under equity accounting, right, if it's a separate company that GameStop has an ownership stake in, then they would have to make this statement. And what does that statement mean? It just means that Digital PowerPacks did less than 10% of GameStop's sales or operating income or assets. So hypothetically, if Digital PowerPacks separately from GameStop, not within this 821, but if within quarter three they had made 85 million in revenue, then GameStop would have had to disclose to us PowerPacks numbers. So again, another piece of evidence that points to Digital PowerPacks not being included within GameStop's numbers. Number 8, PowerPacks LLC is listed as a company with its headquarters in California at PSA's headquarters. And the manager of the company is listed as PSA/collectors. So if PowerPacks is included within GameStop's operations, then why is the company PowerPacks LLC, that is the company selling PowerPacks, why would PSA be the principal of PowerPacks? Sorry for the slow loading here. Right? It doesn't make sense. See this at the bottom? PowerPacks LLC. Maybe you don't see it because I'm covering it up. That's all right. So that's reason number 8. Or question number 8. That the evidence would suggest equity accounting. The evidence would suggest PowerPacks LLC is a bona fide equity investment, and PSA and GameStop have meaningful stakes, not the GameStop operating subsidiary. And again, PowerPacks LLC is the company that sells PowerPacks. GameStop is the company that sells graded cards on GameStop.com. It's not that complicated. GameStop.com, owned by GameStop, reported in GameStop's numbers. PowerPacks LLC, separate company, principal owner or managing member is PSA, headquarters is at PSA, but GameStop does have an equity interest. It's not just a fee for sales. And if it is, it's very, very, very unlikely based on all the numbers I've already said. Here's a couple more. Here's a couple more pieces of information for you. Going back to Cohen's interview. Remember Cohen's interview from October 20th? Here's a couple things he said. When talking about Digital PowerPacks, if we can make 80% margins, but the upside is limited, it's not going to move the needle, I don't care. This is what Ryan Cohen said in context of Digital PowerPacks. High margin, low revenue, he doesn't care. Limited upside, he doesn't care. Is GameStop interested in just being the host, in just receiving a high margin, low revenue transaction fee for digital PowerPack sales? No. But if you think that that is actually the agreement they agreed to, then why did Ryan Cohen say that? Right? Why did he say this? High margin, low scale, he doesn't care. And you're suggesting that simultaneously, that's precisely what digital PowerPacks is when this comment was made specifically in reference to digital PowerPacks. So there's number 9. Here's number 10, also from Ryan Cohen, also about digital PowerPacks. In contrast to 80% margins, upside limited, I don't care, he then says, now if it's going to translate to billions of dollars of shareholder value and it's scalable, then we're talking. Then we're talking billions of dollars of shareholder value and scalable. So, as it relates to digital PowerPacks, how would a transaction fee for a business that PSA primarily owns and operates, how would that translate to billions of dollars of shareholder value? Right? That's what you would have to answer. Again, reason number 10 that suggests that digital PowerPacks is an equity investment of GameStop, not an operating subsidiary, not included in GameStop's numbers. Here's reason number 11. He says, do you think PowerPack could be that? What do you think? Hey, chat's going crazy. People want to know. PowerPacks is interesting. We can't get enough inventory. We can't get enough inventory. Why is it we if GameStop's just the host? If GameStop's just receiving a transaction fee, why is GameStop acting as though they have an ownership stake in PowerPack's inventory? Why is Ryan Cohen worried about trying to get inventory for PowerPacks if Ryan Cohen is just getting a transaction fee for PowerPack sales? Now, here's a bonus. Here's number 12. The infamous comment. Collectibles business going from nearly 10%, which it was 10.2% of the business, to just about a third of total sales for the full year 2025. And again, we are selling our card products very quickly. Our card products. Do you think that only means cards on their website? I don't think so. Why would Cohen say our card products if he doesn't actually own any of the digital PowerPacks, right? If digital PowerPacks is not his, why? Again, that's just part of another tangential piece of number 11, right? Ryan Cohen's statements indicating that he has ownership in digital PowerPacks, right? Which again, you would expect under equity accounting. That's the whole point. Very implausible that he would describe himself as having ownership in digital PowerPacks as one of his card products that's inventory constrained, that he is taking ownership in trying to expand the inventory of, if he's just a host, if he's just being hired by PSA with a transaction fee, right? So why would he say that? But here's number 12, collectibles being a full year of total sales. Well, collectibles right now are 27% of sales for GameStop's 2025. Is that just about a third? No. Now, if Cohen, so why would he say this, right? It could be that the Switch 2 doesn't sell anything in Q4, and software doesn't sell anything in Q4, and collectibles just goes absolutely through the roof just through GameStop's online card marketplace. and that but it would be just very unlikely, right? Very unlikely that collectibles will be able to move the needle that dramatically in Q4. So again, if you think that PowerPacks revenue is already included here, and you think that PowerPacks is just giving GameStop a low revenue transaction fee that's high margin, then why would Cohen say that collectibles are going to be a third of company sales? And I don't want to hear like, oh, 27%, that's basically a third. No, he said just about 10%, and it was at 10.2 at the bottom. So I don't want to hear 28%, it's basically 33%. Now, if you want to talk about 31, fine. But again, it's not going to get there if PowerPacks is just giving GameStop a transaction fee. It doesn't make sense. Now, if PowerPacks is an equity investment not included in GameStop's reported collectibles sales, but that in this interview, Cohen in his mind is considering PowerPack sales in addition to the legacy business, then his comments make total sense. You'd basically model out Q4, what's hardware, software, collectibles going to be, and you take that total collectibles number, and if it's at 29%, then you have a decent ballpark of, okay, well, to get this to at least 31%, digital power packs must be doing at least blank in revenue. It's very likely that Cohen would be describing digital power pack sales in his mind as a part of collectible sales, even though from an accounting standards perspective, equity accounting means that for now, we are totally blind to the digital power pack sales. So again, why would Cohen say just about a third if digital power packs was always going to be just a small revenue transaction fee? So again, there's 12 reasons, 12 pieces of circumstantial evidence that suggests that digital power packs is not included in GameStop's operating numbers. All 12 of those pieces of evidence are all it's all unknown, right? But all 12 of those pieces of evidence all suggest more strongly that PowerPacks is not included in GameStop's operations, that PowerPacks LLC is the company with all of the revenue and all the expenses. It's not PSA's portion and GameStop's portion. It's all PowerPacks portion, right? And what we'll find out one day is how much of PowerPacks does GameStop own versus PSA. It's probably 50-50, but we'll see. Zero of those 12 pieces of evidence give you reason to think that PSA is just giving GameStop a transaction fee for GameStop's for PowerPack sales. Zero of the 12. There's actually not any evidence that suggests that. The only reason some people think that is because this revenue number is low if PowerPacks is included. And so therefore they're jumping to this conclusion rather than looking at all the data points that we have, whether financial or structural with the PowerPacks business or verbal with what the leadership of GameStop has said, right? All of the evidence all points to PowerPacks LLC is not included in GameStop's reported collectible sales. So if you still think that PowerPacks is included in this number, I want to hear your answers for those 12 questions, right? Why is GameStop's other income all of a sudden increasing? Why is non-current assets growing after years of decline? Right? Why is non-store SG&A growing after years of decline? Why is the cash flow for GameStop's investment in their collaboration, why is that an investment rather than reported and aggregated within their operating numbers? Why is the amount of that cash flow 17.5 million if GameStop's just being hired as the host? Why is GameStop dumping thousands of cards from its inventory at the end of the quarter? Why did GameStop make the immateriality statement? Why is PowerPacks LLC a separate company? And why is PSA the principal? Why did Cohen talk about high margin, low revenue, low scale as unattractive in his interview in relation to discussing digital PowerPacks? Why did Cohen talk about high scale, billions of dollars worth of shareholder value in his interview when talking about digital PowerPacks if digital PowerPacks is only a transaction fee? Why did Cohen say that collectibles is going to be just about a third of full year sales? Right? 12 big, and I guess the 11th one, right? Why did Cohen discuss PowerPack's inventory and the PowerPack card product as if he has ownership in it, if it's actually just a transaction fee? Again, would love to hear. Is it impossible? No, and that's what I was getting at. If you want to go to this video, my reacting to region formal video, I mean, there's just like books written back and forth between me and GD. And again, I appreciate all the conversations, but I feel like so many of the conversations are fixated on sales, even after I concede the point of sales. Like we just go back to the sales. Like, look, the sales could be that low, okay? The sales is not my hangup. I said at the beginning, I said it in the middle, saying it here at the end. If GameStop's just receiving a transaction fee, sure, the PowerPacks numbers could be that low for the quarter. Sure, PowerPacks numbers could fit within this revenue number, but all 12 of those pieces of evidence would indicate that that's not the case, right? All 12 of them, it's more likely that PowerPacks is being accounted for under equity accounting standards, which would mean that necessarily it's not included in GameStop's collectible sales. All right. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you did or if you didn't. Appreciate you guys for watching, for subscribing, for joining. That's all I got for you today. I'll see you in the next one.